Hello, everybody. How we doing? How we doing? My name is Quantic Flux, and today we're going to be checking out the demo for a game called Inhuman Resources: A Literary Machination. This is a very interesting looking game. It is an interactive fiction RPG, and it's got a story that's kind of like it reminds me of the TV show Severance, which I am a huge fan of. So, without further ado, why don't we head on in and check it out, and hope that there is music because at the moment I have none. There are three deaths. The first is when the body ceases to function. The second is when the body is consigned to the grave. The third is that moment, sometime in the future, when your name is spoken for the last time. David M. Eagleman. Sad. It seems like there should be music. I'm not hearing any, though. But, oh, big thanks to Purple is Royal for sending this one my way, getting it on my radar. The phone call. Oh, there's definitely sound. Scree. Yep, scree, scree. An all too familiar screeching reverberates inside your brain. The noise comes in waves, the pain follows suit. You try your best to ignore both, but the mere fact you've acknowledged the awful sound means it has already won. Your phone's alarm is simply much too loud to ignore. Don't I know it, man? Hate it. Defeated, your eyelids peel apart like sheets of rotting Velcro, linking back a bad night's bleary haze. You lie in bed, awake, against your consent. The room is almost pitch black, save for the intermittent flashing of your phone's screaming screen. A rancid, if routine, stench of unwashed bedsheets bids you a bittersweet good morning. You're home, for better or worse, mostly the latter these days. Just once you wish you just wake up somewhere else instead. Just once you wish time would ask permission before racing ahead. But your phone doesn't care about what you want. I'm gonna toss this damn phone. Smash it. Insufferable screeching drills deeper into your skull. You throw back your dirty blankets, blindingly reaching for the misbegotten beast. Pick up the phone. This better be good, man. I have to hold it. The slab of thumb-smudged plastic feels comfortable in your palm. Most call the device ancient, but to you, it's cozy and familiar, like an old, if outdated, friend. No oversized touchscreen, no fancy graphics card for mobile games, no constant access to so-or-so G network, just a simple tool with a cute antenna that still allows you time to disconnect. You always appreciated the old and the analog, despite the wider world's obsession with digitized progress. There's sincerity and physicality, a warmth to an object's weight. You'll cling to this relic as long as you can. Sensible upgrades be damned. Okay, so we are a character that does not like technology. Got it. You have acquired old cell phone. I mean, that's crazy, man. Flip phones are so old. They're so heavy. They are basically indestructible, though. You fiddle with the phone, desperate to stop the alarm. But no matter which button you press, the shrieking will not end. That's because this isn't your alarm at all. It's your ringtone. That's why you gotta set different ringtones for your alarm and your ringtone, man. Squinting in the darkness, you barely make out the caller's ID. It's your aunt. Aunt/landlady, technically speaking. Do not intertwine your personal relationships like that. Hopefully just your aunt today. The woman is exhausting enough when she isn't asking for rent payments, no matter how overdue they are. Still, should you really ignore a call from the one person still willing to support you between jobs? I mean, probably not. We'll accept the call. Static crackles as your obsolete cell phone struggles to connect. After a sharp click, you mumble a hesitant hello.
Shakunijata.
Ooh. Hey there. Hold on. What do we know about the aunt? She's your landlady. We said she's annoying.
Hey there, sweetie. Sorry for calling you out of the blue like this. Hope I'm not interrupting lunch.
Oh boy, we slept until lunchtime. Scratchy facsimile of her bombastically condescension voice, condescending, I believe, voice, greets you on the line's other end. No mistaking your dear auntie. But what's this about lunch? You flick on a light and glance towards your microwave's LED clock display. A shameful number stares back from the room's abyss. 1:29 p.m. Hell yeah, brother. You wince and make up a half-baked lie, pretending to talk with your mouth full. Your aunt doesn't seem to buy it.
Jimena Gomi.
Well, I'm sure you're very busy with job applications today, so I'll get straight to the point. You have any idea when you'll be able to send me last month's rent? I know money's been tight lately, but it's already the 31st. One missed payment is bad enough, but two?
All right, you're the worst. Shit, landlady it is. You feel yourself deflate, glancing to the tower of rejected job applications standing proud and precarious upon your messy desk. Top sheet almost grazes your modest apartment ceilings. Your aunt suggested to print each refusal, claiming they'd make your eventual hiring all the more rewarding. That is just so not correct. You're just constantly bombarded with your failures. Dude, are you out of your mind? That would destroy me. You found that harder and harder to believe ever since the letters started to outnumber the dollars in your bank account. Oh my goodness. We are in rough shape.
Enjo Kateme.
Sweetie, do you have some kind of estimate for me? I would really need an answer today.
Oh boy. Man, these are both not very good options. I guess we'll beg for more time to pay again. You swallow your pride. It goes down easy. There isn't much of it left. For the 100th, 1000th, millionth time, you swear to send your aunt the money the second you get a steady paycheck. Until then, there's no way you can conjure that kind of cash out of thin air. An uncomfortable silence lingers over your phone speaker. For several torturous seconds, a disappointed sigh comes through.
Sigama no suku.
Sweetie, I let you rent that place to give you a second chance, not to keep enabling this shameful, do-nothing behavior of yours.
Dude, we're trying. We've got freaking job application rejections all over. What the heck are you talking about, man?
Así mi clamo.
Honestly, I'd be more than willing to forgive delays if I knew you were actually trying. You can't expect me to believe you've been pulling yourself up by the bootstraps and giving this job hunt all you've got when you've been living in a pigsty for the past year.
Okay, first of all, she's a boomer. Doesn't understand anything. Dumb. Shut up. Second of all, more importantly, dude, this person's obviously depressed. Of course they're living in a pigsty. What are you talking about? Pigsty? You deflect the woman's accusations, blabbering in a desperate denial. But as your eyes drift over the sorry state of your apartment, your ramblings soon turn to tragic silence. On the floor, at your desk, in the kitchen, and even in your fridge. This looks like maybe we can look at each. Crumpled stacks of crusty laundry litter the unmopped ground, like landmines in an active war zone. Fly swarms, styrofoam containers, oh no, amalgamate themselves into awkwardly unstable modern art illustrations. Your largest one can only be referred to as the Leaning Tower of Takeout. Filthy cookware overflows from your sink, bathed in rancid dishwasher. A layer of film has formed on the surface, thick as the crust of a creme brulee. Gross, dude. The outdated contraption hums like a thermonuclear lawnmower, even though you know damn well it's not keeping anything cold right now. Maybe ketchup packets if you're lucky. Oof. Our character is definitely depressed. Pigsty or not, there's no denying that this whole unemployment business has been taking a serious toll. One that's gone on long enough for your aunt's pity to become well-deserved contempt. Okay, but I still don't like her.
Jimena Gomi.
Well, what do you have to say for yourself?
Hey, it's not your fault these stupid companies won't hire overqualified geniuses. I don't know, that's the approach there. She's right, you're scum. Worse than scum. She should just evict you and get over with it. Get it over with. I don't think that's good either. You're sick of pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. Can't someone else pull them up for you? These are all terrible choices, but, man. I mean, these are all rough, man. I do think it's an idiotic thing to say to pick yourself up by the bootstraps, though. Also, I'm pretty sure that this original saying was like not to be taken literally because you can't pick yourself up by the bootstraps, and it was like criticizing the stupid way that it's being used now. I'm gonna go with this one, I guess. Become convinced that effort is overrated and wasted effort is downright offensive. Why keep applying to jobs if it never lands you a contract? Why clean your room if it just gets dirty again? Your precious time and energy would be better spent sleeping in, waiting for money to magically appear. Yeah, totally, dude. Dude, we need a shrink. We need mental health care. Your aunt, quite obviously, does not share your optimistically apathetic philosophy. Oh boy.
Binge matani.
Honey, none of your efforts have been wasted because you haven't even made one yet. I mean, you show up late to every interview, you dress like a slob, and if you actually cooked once in a while instead of ordering in, you'd have enough money to buy an island nation. How is an employer supposed to trust you with keeping their business running if you can't even pretend to take responsibility for yourself? Keep choosing to be lazy and people will keep choosing not to give you a chance.
Just plain old fucking lazy. Okay. I guess that's us. You brace yourself as the woman prepares to deliver her most frequent, most frustrating spiel. You could probably repeat it word for word if you were ever held at gunpoint. Okay.
Jimena Gomi.
Remember, sweetie, in our world, choices matter, the big ones and the small ones. We can't always take those decisions back, and we can't control their consequences either, which means we have to choose carefully. You, most certainly, have not been doing that, but if you have any intention of getting yourself out of this mess, you need to start making the right decisions, and soon. You hang your head and nod, gulping down your last trickle of self-respect. Hearing this speech frequently doesn't make it any easier to hear.
Penda vachuku.
Anywho, enough of that. The real reason I'm calling is because I might have an opportunity for you.
Yeah, get me into the Severance style program. I love it. You tell by her inflection she means a job opportunity. Your reaction is practically Pavlovian. You salivate at the thought of your unrelenting financial woes finally coming to an end and grip the cell phone tighter, aching with anticipation.
Sigama no suku.
See, there's this problem employee at our company. He works at one of the local branches right next to where you live. But the man has a terrible attitude. It is even more terrible when it comes to, well, whatever it is you think we do over there.
Okay. You picture her limply waving a wrist in some vague, dismissive pattern. More of the highly confidential stuff she can't share, but brags about anyway. Oh boy, our aunt. Not that you're entirely sure what your aunt actually does for a living to begin with. Something to do with human resources, maybe?
Penda vachuku.
Needless to say, we'll be laying off the little sourpuss as soon as a fitting replacement is found. The thing is, we need that replacement fast. The company has a big business deal coming up. We can't afford to be short on staff right now.
Binge matani.
Luckily, I happen to know a certain someone in dire need of a job, and this position happens to be entry level. No major qualifications needed. It even comes with a sterling letter of recommendation from yours truly. Now, this won't be an easy job. Supervisors are very strict, and the anxiety has a way of following you home. But so long as you nail the interview, you're basically guaranteed stable income as long as you need it. Smyrna Corp isn't prone to random layoffs.
Binge matani.
So how about it, sweetie? Shall I schedule something for you?
I mean, let's be honest. I would rather do this one, knowing that this is a Severance style game, but have her set up an interview pronto. Hell yeah, brother. High stress environment or not, it beats homeless by a country mile. You agree to your aunt's offer with ravenous insistence. The woman breathes a sigh of relief and lets out a nervous laugh. It almost sounds like she's in ecstatic disbelief. We're so cooked, man.
Shakuni jata.
Thank goodness. You have no idea what it means to hear you say that, dear. You're literally saving my life.
Oh boy. Great. Wonderful. You should probably be the one telling her that, but you won't complain about receiving gratitude instead of judgment for once. Without missing a beat, your aunt hammers at her computer's keyboard, drafting you an email. You clamber your way out of bed, tripping over day-old takeout and mounds of dirty underwear as you rush towards your laptop. Nice.
Así mi clamo.
I've booked the earliest appointment I could... I've booked the... Gotta get this horrible voice in there.
I've booked the earliest appointment I could possibly find. You should get an email with the time, address, and job description soon. Be sure to read everything carefully and do not be late. Mr. Burgard will skin me alive if I send him another unpunctual idiot.
Enjo kateme.
Oh, and try to show a little gusto out there. If Mr. Burgard thinks you're lazy, he might try to fix you rather than hire you.
What does that mean? Also, I am lazy. We got this. We got it up here. We're just plain old fucking lazy. That's our entire thing right now. Fix you? Rather than offer answers, your aunt whispers a farewell.
Penda vachuku.
Good luck, sweetie. I hope you forgive me for this someday.
Jeez Louise, lady, what are you doing to your nephew? Click. The line goes deathly silent, save for a droning dial tone. You get an urge to call back, but the ding of an invitation appearing in your inbox catches your attention first. Uh-oh. Your interview is today, at 4 p.m. sharp, no less? Dude. How are you even gonna get clean clothes by then, man? Isn't it 1:30? We're gonna shower and get clean clothes and drive somewhere by 4 p.m.? You crazy? You curse under your breath, rushing to shower and get dressed. Your stack of rejection letters gets knocked over by your charge and scatters across the room in a whirlwind of standard issue responses. You beg with every fiber of your being not to come home with a new failure to add onto the pile. Listen, I gotta be honest, you're lucky you're even getting rejections. Most of the time you get ghosted. Chapter complete. Proceed to the waiting room. Waiting room. The packed full city transit bus comes to a creaking stop. Right in front of an old building you've never seen before. Shoving your way past crowded commuters, you step onto an empty sidewalk. The vehicle roars away, fading into the misty afternoon and leaving you utterly alone. You briefly wonder if getting off here was a mistake. You review your aunt's documents, poring over the civic number, street name, and postal code, as though every character were a cipher to some secret code. By the time you finish your third revision, you're forced to concede. This must be the right address, but it's not remotely what you expected. There's the unnerving facade, the decorative windows, the massive front gates, and the bronze door knocker. Glaze gray brickwork and pale veined marble unite to form a vast web of extravagant monochrome patterns. But despite all the details, the sum total still gives off a sense of cold, calculated purpose, almost like an graffiti artist. I can't talk. Almost like an anarchic graffiti artist were hired to redesign a palliative care center. Palliative care center. My goodness, that was rough for me. Sorry. It was worse for you, I'm sure. As you climb the front steps, a set of circular gold-tinted porthills stare down at you. They are unblinking, like the eyes of a giant deep-sea squids. Yikes. Glass is too opaque to see through, yet you suspect someone is on the other side watching as you approach. I hate this place already. Made from half-ton chunks of glistening cast iron, the double doors have been decorated with an intricate bas relief of skyscrapers swimming in fog. But a bit ironic for such a stout little edifice. Shaped like a crown king's severed head. What the hell are we doing here, man? The object is so lifelike, you're scared it will be warm and wet to the touch. Unfortunately, you see no keypads, handles, or ID scanners that would allow for easier entry. Jeez Louise, man. The local branch of Smirnocorp is only 4 stories tall, yet feels impossibly imposing. It's caught between outdated aesthetics and timeless sensibilities, somehow both outrageous yet invisibly subtle, as if meant to be forgotten at a passing glance and to haunt those whose cases linger. Yikes. You suspect you may be underdressed. I mean, do we even have clean clothes? As is customary, you waited till the very last minute to get dressed, tossing on the first thing that happened to be lying around. Oh my goodness. I mean, with any luck, we'll fail the interview and not have to deal with whatever horrible things await us. And judging by those weird looks you were getting on the bus, your impromptu fashion experiment may not have resulted in the new pinnacle of professional apparel. Then again, there's only so many combinations of mustard-stained tees and sweatpants a single person can create, especially when they've deliberately not done any laundry lately. Oh my goodness. Regardless, what you've got will have to do. The hour of your interview approaches, and you won't have cash to afford a better outfit until this job is yours. Reach for the knocker and bang it against the door. The bronze object booms against the iron gates even harder than your thumping heart. Moments later, something clicks and a latch comes undone. The doors groan themselves open, inviting you inside. You step into the building and are greeted by what seems to be a 5-star hotel's reception area. The room is utterly massive, with high ceilings akin to a Renaissance church's cavernous belly. Its windows let no sunshine through, and no fluorescent light bulbs fill it with their pale glare. None? Really? I would have thought there would be tons. There are just low-hanging chandeliers and an array of green glass banker lamps bathing the room in burnt orange. Upholstered sofas and coffee tables dot the space like islands, forming a winding path that leads to the room's distant depths. There, a woman stands behind a desk, flanked on each side by grillage elevators. The sharp, machine gun clatter of her mechanical keyboard echoes across the room. This is not what I was expecting. You appreciate the old and analog, but Smirnocorp's apparent fondness is downright ridiculous. Hopefully the receptionist won't feel the same way about your subpar outfit. Tend to be confident, stride over like you own the place. Adjust your crappy clothes and meekly approach. You gotta be confident, man. Oh. With a little luck, it'll read as self-assurance instead of total effing delusion. The dim lighting becomes dimmer the further you go, and thick shadows close in on you like claustrophobic walls. Wall-to-wall carpeting squishes under your feet, and an unfamiliar ammonia aroma assails your flared nostrils. Whatever they use to clean the place smells strong enough to double as a bioweapon, but still isn't enough to erase the lingering stench of cigarette smoke. Weird. What decade are we in, man? We must be like semi-modern times if we have access to cell phones and we're keeping our old flip phone. Cigarette smoke isn't that exactly common anymore. The off-putting odor does suit the outdated decor, though. Except for those unsettling sculptures carved into the room's concrete support pillars. Disturbing shapes that assail you from all sides, emerging from the shadows like pretentious interpretations of 21st century demons. On your left, headless nude bodies are contorted in pain as veins sprout through their skin like a tree's sprawling roots. What the hell? This company's not even pretending not to be crazy and evil. On your right, a bleak rendition of what you assume to be Babel's Tower has been built out of steel girders, electrical wiring, and bones. So we've got religious iconography in our potential place of business. Dude, turn around. Go be homeless instead. What is this? You see human skulls whose scalps have exploded, revealing interwoven helixes of DNA strands and binary code? Oh my god. What happened to good old-fashioned gargoyles, right? Unsettled by your surroundings, your eyes drift back to the woman working the reception desk. There are letters engraved in the wall above her, spelling out a slogan in twinkling silver font. Memori Perpetuus Mutatio. I probably butchered that. I'm so sorry. You don't know much about corporate banding, let alone Smyrna Corp's specific suite of services, but you're not sure how effective that cryptic slogan must be. Maybe you should have read your aunt's documents more carefully. You know, instead of sleeping on the bus, wondering how long the scrap would keep you from the comfort of your bed. Dude, what are we doing? You wave hello to the receptionist, but she doesn't even flinch. Her gaze remains glazed over, wholly focused on her work. Oh, boy. She's younger than you first thought, maybe 30, likely not quite. Sickly pale, with sleep-deprived bags under her eyes, each one darker than the acrylic of her tidy black turtleneck. Her hair is knotted into a dainty bun, her fingers devoid of polish or rings. They move across her keyboard like demented tap dancers. Yikes. Wait, no, not her keyboard, her typewriter. It's a really, really old one, made from brass, black plastic, and way too many moving parts. Relic from the 1800s that looks like it barely scraped through both world wars, and you thought your laptop was getting old. You also notice a small desk bell glimmering on the counter next to it. Maybe secretary, not a Victorian era maid, just say hello like a normal person or ring it. Let's be nice to this possibly zombie lady. You meant to whisper a polite greeting. Nervousness turns it into a shout. The woman's head snaps forward as though hit by an electric shock. She flashes you a beaming, not quite pearl white smile. Welcome to Smearcore. You have an appointment? Yeah, no, you don't. You look like you're all messed up. You don't look, human, is what I'm going to say there. The words barely seep through the woman's gritted teeth. Her grin is so tight, it hurts to watch, but there's no trace of frustration. Use the dictionary definition of too friendly. Ate uncomfortably manifest. Unsettled, you stumble your way through an explanation of your aunt's referral. The receptionist replies with a nod, squinting as she reads the writing on her typewriter's latest sheet.
Ah, of course. We've been expecting you. I'm afraid Mr. Beauregard is running a little late this afternoon. He'll need a few more minutes until he's ready to speak with you, but you're more than welcome to peruse our visitor handbooks while waiting. She gestures at a set of nearby couches and a table chock full of company pamphlets, but you're more surprised to notice someone else is already sitting there. A young man with a bitter look etched into his furrowed face. Could this be competition? Another applicant for the job? An irritated customer. Probably another applicant. Shit. Your aunt never mentioned competition, and if they turn out to be competent, you could be in big trouble. Your bleak musings are cut short by the receptionist's unpainted nails tapping at her name tag. Oh no. I'm Melusine. Melusine? I'm not sure. I'm Melusine, by the way. I'll call you as soon as Mr. Beauregard becomes available. In the meantime, please let me know if you have any questions.
With a grateful, albeit embarrassed nod, you walk away and slump into the old-fashioned sofa. Melusine's customized typewriter clacking away once more. Couch's cushions feel quite stiff, or maybe your stress-clenched back does. Considering the ferocious stare-down you're receiving from the stranger seated across you, it could well be the latter. The steady tick of a vintage clock draws your gaze. Its hand points in opposite directions. 3:42, 18 minutes left. Good thing you came early. I mean, yeah, good for us. You still have time to prepare before your interview, but probably not enough to do everything you want. You'll have to decide where to spend it, carefully. Read through those pamphlets and find out more about Smirnocore. Melusine said she could answer a few questions. Why not take her up on her offer? Have a conversation with the irritated man. Maybe you can learn something from him. There's a magazine on the coffee table. Give it a closer look. I'm going to go under the assumption that we want to actually get this job and that we don't know that it's a horrible decision. So let's find out more about Smirnocore. You snatch a brochure that seems to cover the most interesting topics, hoping it'll contain some hints about your future 9 to 5. Welcome to Smirnocore, your guide toward success in a post-truth future. Okay. Founded in the year redacted by psychotherapist Gertrude Borodine, which began as a non-profit humane society, quickly evolved into a multinational conglomerate with over redacted employees. Okay, great, wonderful. Today, Smirnocore is everywhere. We work for your local governments, your most prestigious universities, the telecommunication services you use to keep in touch with loved ones. Everything we do to protect our most precious resource, people like you. Our commitments. Smirnocore is dedicated to providing custom human resource and recruitment solutions for businesses of all sizes. Using our revolutionary evaluation processes, we assign the person who's right for you at the right time and the right place, guaranteed every time. What are you waiting for? Embrace the change today. Yay! You're mildly disgusted by the amount of insipid buzzwords featured on each page. The whole thing reeks of hyperbole. The lesser whiff of self-congratulation, but at least it was somewhat informative. Plus, this company seems way more prestigious than you expected. The salaries must be pretty decent. I don't know about that. You tuck the pamphlet back into the display and give the clock another glance. 3:51 p.m. Still have a few minutes left, maybe enough to extract information from one of the other people in the room. I feel like this irritated man not likely to give us any information. Melusine seems like a zombie, being honest. We'll try to talk to her, though. Despite her extreme fatigue and even extremer stress levels, the woman definitely seemed eager to lend a hand. What better way is there to learn about your new workplace's business model than to ask the person being paid to greet visitors? Return to the reception desk with an awkward wave, embarrassed to be disrupting the receptionist's work so soon after leaving. Yet rather than appear annoyed, the woman looks up from her typewriter with a sigh of relief, the air seeping through her vice-tight teeth with a shrill kettle-like whistle.
Oh, hello again. I take it you have a few questions for me? As disclaimer, please be advised that Smirnocore staff cannot disclose any confidential information to members of the public. Therefore, while I'll respond to your queries to the best of my ability, there may be certain details I'm forbidden to discuss. Thank you in advance for your understanding. The uneasy first impression Melusine gave you worsens with every word she speaks, not just because she keeps talking without blinking her bloodshot eyes or unclenching her goddamn jaw. Holy. Even though the receptionist's response seems professional, and her tone is perfectly jovial, something about her speech pattern feels rigidly urgent, almost like she's reading the words off of script with a gun pressed to the back of her head, not thanking you for your understanding, but begging you to. Is she scared of getting in trouble by letting something sensitive slip, or is she trying to secretly warn you about the office's working conditions? Probably both. So, what would you like to know? Use sly phrasing to squeeze out some advice about how to ace this interview. Ask what it's like to work at Smirnocore and find out how stressful it really is. Maybe this isn't the right person to interrogate. Get your info from a more reliable source. I have a bad feeling we're going to get Melusine murdered, to be honest. But I don't know if our character knows that. I feel like we should do this. Sorry, Melusine. I hope you don't die. If smiling-induced lockjaw is the price to pay for working here, it may not be worth the money, no matter how badly you need it. Yeah, dude, get out. But it could be that Melusine has a much more difficult job than you ever will. As diplomatically as possible, you ask her to describe her day-to-day tasks. You didn't think it possible, but the woman actually becomes stiffer. Oh, no. An anxious, muted squeal creeps out of her throat, and her teeth tighten so much you swear you hear a molar crack. Well, I'm afraid our non-disclosure policies prevent me from saying much about that particular subject, but I can say that Smirnocore works with clients all around the world, and is dedicated to providing advanced, unorthodox human resource solutions for what management calls the post-truth era. My job involves in facilitating that process by ensuring that both our products and customer service meet the highest of standards. Our number one guarantee is always quality, so it's important that I supervise recruitments and replacements as closely as possible. Your job will likely involve much the same.
Anapaoki.
That's all I can tell you for now, without incurring considerable risk anyway. Oh my god. Seems like she's just paraphrasing the pamphlet you read, using language not meant to inform but to provide positive, propagandized publicity, all while concealing some darker, dirtier reality. Judging by the look of fear in her eyes, Melusine is practically begging you to not look at what she's hiding. That alone tells you Smyrna Corp is very strict and no doubt has a ton of corporate oversight. Sanctions must be enforced upon even the most minor mistakes. Much like your aunt's caginess, the receptionist's tight-lipped exhaustion is probably well warranted. But is that really enough to justify why Melusine looks so unfathomably terrified? Nothing's stopping you from asking to know more, but getting nosy about sensitive information right before an interview could jeopardize your job prospects. I'm more worried about her getting murdered, dude. Thank her for being forthright and say you look forward to working together. No point beating around the bush. Ask her what got her so worried. No. There's a good chance your curiosity could be interpreted as hostility when tensions are this high, and alienating a future coworker before you even start isn't going to help. At least it's what you thought, but instead something unexpected happens. Receptionist begins to tremble, and then to gently weep. Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Tears streak down her deathly pale cheeks and even over her bared teeth. Perpetual smile unwilling to fracture, even as she shakes with sobs. Panicked, you take a single step back, wondering what the hell you said to set her off so suddenly. Melusine is quick to apologize despite being the one who cried. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be rude. I'm looking forward to working with you too. You strike me as a very thoughtful and considerate person. I'm just not looking forward to the work itself. Finally, a morsel of information. Although it's not exactly an enlightening one, nor is it reassuring. What makes being a receptionist so unappealing? Are you joking? You have to deal with jerks all day long. You out of your mind? Why does it sound like your hiring make the work even harder? Okay. Weird sentence. I think I know what it's going for. Melusine snickers at your question without mirth nor malice. Rather, she seems to deflate, lowering her defenses for perhaps the first time. I think you misunderstand. Handling the reception desk isn't my full-time job. Smyrna Corp doesn't get enough visitors for that. Mr. Burgard simply assigns me here whenever we're expecting guests because of my perfect attitude and winning smile. My official job title is Quality Assurance Specialist for the Substitution Department. And as for what work over there involves... Uh-oh. Tut. No spoiling the surprise, Miss Saints. Those booming words rumble across the reception room like a storm, and Melusine stiffens as though struck by its lightning. Clenching her smile tighter than ever, her heels click together like a soldier awaiting inspection. Another click is heard behind you, as the angry stranger on the couch stiffens the same way. The reactions make no sense until you turn to face the voice, and then you too go rigid with awestruck shock. Standing in front of the elevator is, without exaggeration, the most massive man you've ever seen. He's taller than a fridge, twice as wide, and perhaps thrice as heavy. Pure white of his immaculate dentistry contrasts with his dark skin, which reflects the room's dim light like finely chiseled onyx. Beneath the perfectly tailored patterns of his elegant tweed suit, muscles shift with every breath, threatening to burst through the seams. His pale blue eyes focus on you as he speaks with a voice like velvet thunder. My humble apologies for interrupting your enthralling conversation, friend. Our dear Melusine is sometimes a little careless when it comes to discussing confidential company matters, but I'll gladly sate your curiosity in her stead during our interview. Interview, huh? This must be Mr. Burgard, your soon-to-be boss, luck willing. Dude, how are you still interested in this job? The ding of an elevator is suddenly heard, and one of the grillage doors by the reception desk creaks open. The tweed behemoth slides his way into the shaft, packed tighter than tuna in a too-small can. He beckons you to join him with a bratwurst thick finger. Holy crap. Come along now. We're already behind schedule and can't afford any more delays. What's more, I frankly cannot wait to discuss your future with us here at Smyrna Corp. Holy shit. He thinks you have a future. Okay. In that moment, Mr. Burgard's big beaming smile is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Thank him and slip into the elevator. The tight fit, but you manage to wriggle yourself into the lift by nuzzling up to your hopefully future boss. You apologize profusely for the cramped conditions, but he just laughs it off.
No need to be embarrassed. Happens all the time. Oh, and no need for all this Mr. Burgard business either. First name basis is fine by me. Okay. Before the elevator door can snap shut, someone opens their mouth and screams.
Ame temoku.
Obuya, wait! The angry-looking man you previously feared suddenly drops to his knees, hands held together as if in prayer. Any aura of danger that once clung to him has been dispelled by his blubbering supplication.
Ame temoku.
Sir, I'm begging you, just give me another chance. Oh, this must be the guy that's getting fired. I swear, I'll do anything. Unpaid overtime. I'll work on weekends. I'll kiss your goddamn shoes if I have to. Just please don't replace me. Mr. Burgard's only reply is a disappointed sigh. His bright white smile wavers, and tangible contempt taints his otherwise welcoming tone. Mr. Aguilar, you've had more second chances than I can count, and displaying such undignified desperation in front of a candidate set to take over your position is not an endearing choice. Frankly, there's nothing more I can or want to do for you beyond offering the standard company-issued severance package. Is it murder? Is that the standard issued severance package? Are you gonna kill this man? Oh shit. This is the problem, employee, your aunt was talking about. The lamb being brought to the slaughter, all so you can survive the paycheck they used to have. Part of you feels guilty, considering how desperate the stranger seems about being laid off, but another part is grateful that your predecessor seems to be such a mess. Maybe getting hired here will be easier than you first thought. Either way, Mr. Burgard's words have the effect of an ice pick through the heart. The once intimidating stranger collapses at as though shot in the chest. His body ripples with hiccuping wails, his fist powerlessly pounding at the carpeted floor. Your maybe future boss clicks his tongue, more disappointed than disturbed. Turns to give Melusine a firm look and firmer orders. Miss St. Sains, please ensure our former staffer behaves until his offboarding is complete, will you? I'll attend to him once I'm done with our guest. Tired woman gives a nervous nod, rushing back to her typewriter as if nothing happened. Black and Cleese are now punctuated by the tears of a grown man. Obuya thumbs a few buttons, and the elevator finally slides shut. Through cracks of the grillage gates, you see the receptionist give you a small wave, mouthing a worrisome farewell. Good luck. Thanks. Before you can decide whether she was cheering you on or trying to warn you, the floor lurches downwards. Oh my goodness. All right, interview time. After descending... No, not the elevator music. After descending... Muzak, I believe it's pronounced. M-U-Z-A-K, right? Muzak. After descending a short way, the elevator slows to a crawl, then comes to a complete stop, groaning under the combined mass of its unevenly weighted passengers. For a moment, you worry that its cables have jammed. Clearing his throat, Mr. Burgard reaches over your shoulder and points to the lift's control panel. Would you do me the honor of entering our meeting room's access password? Going to be working here, you may as well learn how to travel across the office. Just type in blah, 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 if you please. Oh, and no need to be too brusque about it. Precision matters more than speed with these old ads. Okay, so we got like a weird S with a circle, a pi sign, scythe, and a circle with a line. Oh my goodness. So weird S circle in the middle. We got the pi sign. We got the backward scythe, and we got circle-y line. The interviewer chuckles pleasantly as he watches you fiddle with the eclectic symbols, amused by your apparent unfamiliarity. No doubt he's used to employees entering these combinations with the routine deftness of jaded shoppers, typing in their PIN numbers during credit card transactions. You're still not sure why he's making you type the password in, nor why the elevator uses passwords in the first place. Wouldn't keycards be easier? Or normal numbers at least? Regardless, as the last button clicks into place, the elevator resumes its descent at an increased momentum, plunging deep into the earth with no sign of it ever stopping. For almost 20 seconds, you wonder if it's headed for the planet's core. You'll have to beg my pardon for the sluggishness. I petitioned to have this thing replaced, but the encryptology department refuses to let us invest in newer models. Potential security risks, or so they claim. Boogeyman hogwash, I say. An upgrade has been long overdue. Maybe once our deal with Radium finally goes through, there'll be a bit more welcoming of true progress, eh? You nod along politely, pretending to understand what he means. You're uncertain the display looks convincing. Still, by the sounds of it, you'll be stuck here for a while. How do you kill time? Give those elevator buttons a closer look. Ask Obuya to explain his employee's unusual behavior. Ooh, boy. Man. I mean, we're already in it, dude. We're cooked. We should not piss off this man that's probably going to murder us. He'd probably appreciate us trying to learn more about the company, right? So let's do this. Squinting at the control panel, you try making sense of the assorted icons decorating each key, trying to intuit the twisted logic linking them together. There must be some rationale informing the design of these peculiar passcodes. Okay. I can't click them, it seems. Unfortunately, the longer you look, the less you understand about what the pi symbol and Greek omega have to do with any of these scribbles you've never seen before. The amount of mental gymnastics required to even attempt drawing a clear pattern leaves you with a nagging headache. At least you can remember the whatever password Obuya gave you. In the end, you're so focused on decoding the secret behind Smear Corp's buttons that you flinch upon hearing Burgard speak up. I hope you're as excited for the interview as I am, friend. At the risk of sounding dramatically biased, I have very high expectations for you. The woman who recommended you for this position, your aunt, I believe, she had nothing but great things to say about you. She told you were one of the most energetic, hardworking, and punctual people she's ever met. An employee with such tremendous commitment to positive workplace values sounds like just the kind of addition Smear Corp could use right now. Okay, so she's just a filthy liar. Wonderful. You answer the giant's compliment with an awkward chuckle. Internally, however, you were screaming. Why did that woman have to lie about the one thing she knows you're terrible at, which is to say making an effort? Was she trying to get you in trouble? Or is this her way of pressuring you into getting your shit together ASAP? As you force yourself to smile through an impending panic attack, the elevator comes to a grinding halt, its grillage door sliding open. Squeeze your way out of there. It's a bit of a battle to wriggle past Obuya, though you soon find yourself free of the claustrophobic lift and breathing a bit easier. Mr. Burgard follows suit, flipping a light switch to illuminate the otherwise pitch-black room. Welcome to my humble office. Ah, so that's what this place is. An office wouldn't have been your first guess. Rectangular space before you is reminiscent of an oversized police interrogation room. The walls are painted glossy black, glistening in the sepia glow of a low-hanging ceiling lamp. And if it weren't for the obvious two-way mirror in the back, the room would appear infinite in size, a boundless expanse of inky shadow extending in every direction. That sounds totally normal, man. A single desk sits at the room's center, made from a block of carved mahogany. Coffee-stained paperwork covered its surface like some madman's wallpaper, and countless colored wires sprawl across the floor, as though the varnished wood had somehow sprung electrical roots. Leather chairs fit to dwarf royal thrones loom over both ends of the table, no doubt custom built to accommodate Mr. Burgard's colossal frame. The behemoth briskly motions for you to take a seat, but you sink so far into the plush leather it feels more like the seat takes you. On this side, there's an antique candlestick phone, whose mouthpiece is made to look like a large roosting bat. Jeez. On that side, there's an old-fashioned record player adorned with a gaudily gilded Smirnocore logo. Right in front of you, there's a nameplate engraved with words, Obuya Burgard, Senior Substitution Department Supervisor. And scattered all over the place, there are piles of VHS cassettes, each one labeled with tags written in Latin, Farsi, or Ancient Greek. Okay. The item which perplexes you the most, however, is an old vinyl record, snugly wrapped in yellow keep out tape. Mr. Burgard notes your interest with an amused arch of his brow. Wouldn't happen to be a fan of jazz, would you? I can't stand jazz, if I'm being honest. I mean, this is a terrible way to say no. Do we lie to Obuya? He's probably good at detecting lies, right? I gotta go with honesty. I had a hunch Obuya would be disappointed by your brutal honesty, but instead his big and beaming smile warps into a cheeky grin. Frankly, neither am I, but that's why I find this to be so bloody impressive. Carefully placing the confidential vinyl onto an old record player, Mr. Burgard lowers the needle and bids you to listen. A strange, somber soundscape slowly fills the office with a blues-like rhythm you can't quite compare to anything you've heard before. Not appalling, per se, but it's perhaps a little messy, eerie enough to make you uncomfortable. Duet voices of a man and woman muttering warbled lyrics only adds to the strangeness. Can't make out a word they're saying, except for the chorus verse. Let's call the whole thing off. Okay. Gina and Herschel Gershwin. Twins, if you were wondering. Not a couple, despite all the turbulent rumors that once surrounded their odd relationship. Never met them myself, but I do know they could have been bigger than the Beatles back in the band's heyday. The biggest case of my career was making sure they wouldn't be. And I always found it tragic that only one of their records was left intact in the world. Though I also do feel quite lucky to be the man who owns it. Few will ever have the privilege of hearing such avant-garde work. You utter a few admirative ohs and ahs, feigning interest to conceal your perplexity. Why does a human resource company have to do with ruining musicians' careers? And how could Obuya be employed, let alone alive, during the birth years of rock and roll? He's not that old, is he? Or you can scrutinize the man's non existent wrinkles. He promptly clears the stray documents from his desk, making space for a repulsively familiar sheet of paper. Your loathsome effing resume, laid bare for the world to gawk at. God, you're sick of seeing that thing. Obuya interlaces his fingers, pale eyes darkening to a severe stare. You suddenly find yourself keenly aware of just how dangerous the man could be should he choose to embrace violence over a verbal repertoire. Repartee. Time to begin our little interview. I'll be asking you a series of questions. Some will appear rather peculiar, others innocuous. They may be difficult to answer at times, as you've not been made fully aware of your position, nor of Smirnocor's company goals. However, I still request that you provide honest and instinctive responses. Regardless of context, they'll give us a better idea at the roles you'll be best assigned to during your time among us. Wait, you have to ace an interview before being told about the job you're applying for? What a mess. Either Smirnocore has an unintuitive hiring process, or the non-disclosure agreements are so incestuously interwoven, no one can get any work done without being strangled to death by red tape. Still, Obuya's words made one thing clear. The only way you'll get hired and earn a salary to pay the rent you owe is by acing this goddamn interview, no matter what it takes. Give him a furred nod and reassure him you'll be earnest. Give a non-committal answer knowing you'll lie to make yourself seem employable. I mean, I'll be honest. Obuya chortles with satisfaction. The sound is deep and rumbling as a rockside at the bottom of a well.
Kudo Mijaji.
Wonderful. Let's get started.
Kudo Mijaji.
Question 1. Runaway locomotive is barreling down a set of railroad tracks at uncontrollable speeds. In its path lay 5 people. You give me the trolley problem, dude? In its path lay 5 people tied down and unable to move. Nothing is done. The locomotive will surely crush them and end their lives in an instant.
Tome Baden.
You stand in a train yard next to a large leveler. You'll know that if you pull it, the locomotive will divert its course onto a separate track. However, that will cause it to crush a different person, who is also tied down to this alternate path. How do you ensure all people escape this tragedy alive? Okay, that's a new part of the trolley problem. Not quite where do you see yourself 5 years shtick you're used to. How the hell are you supposed to respond? Assuming you can operate the lever, you might also know how to remotely trigger the emergency brakes. That's a good jump in logic, sure. You run fast and have deft hands, untie everyone before the train arrives. It's insane. It's an insane thing. Dodge a question by discussing other ethical conundrums and how they expose moral biases. I mean, he wanted us to answer honestly. I'm going to use my imagination. I'm going to remotely trigger the emergency brakes. You're not exactly the foremost authority on train art technological advances, but you're pretty sure conductors have developed multiple automated and manual failsafes, specifically to prevent cartoonish catastrophes like this one. If not, you have $1 million idea to pitch. Hell yeah, brother.
Kudo Mijaji.
That's an impressively refreshing answer. Although, to be candid, many representatives in other departments would strongly disagree with your technology-based solution. Yeah, I kind of figured that, to be honest. Tweed Behemoth gesticulates towards the yellowing documents strewn about his desk, and the baubles at its corners. All of them appear ancient enough to have been stolen from an unsuspected museum shelves.
Gawona Kimo.
Corp was built upon the ideal that humankind's potential must not become entrapped by progress's false promise of privacy. Efficiency is no excuse to discard anonymous practicality. Just want to steal everyone's information? Our old hat philosophies and reliance on archaic devices have kept this company on the path to success for decades. But the world is changing, and we cannot remain blind to the additional insights technology can provide.
Gawona Kimo.
After all, how could we think outside the box if we lack the tools to grasp how big the box has become, especially in our ever so chaotic digital era? Not quite sure how to respond to that, let alone how it applies to human resources, but you still managed to stammer out some words of agreement, which hopefully imply you were thinking the same thing.
Noticeably.
Your profile's changed? Technological literacy +2? Hell yeah, brother. Now, moving along to question 2. You kindly rephrase your greatest flaw so it sounds like your greatest strength.
Noticeably.
Be advised, I do not want to hear any of that cowardly, I'm too much of a perfectionist, or I'm a huge workaholic claptrap most folk use to make themselves sound flawless. I want a proper, blameworthy weakness reconfigured into a proper, praiseworthy strength. Understood? Behemoth leans forward, and the room's darkness looms with him. Both close in around you like the walls of a solitary confinement cell, or the rope of an eager hangman's noose. Better think of something good. Browse social media during work hours, but it keeps you updated on current events and tech trends. Spend too much time chatting with coworkers, but it helps you understand them and cooperate effectively. You often try solving problems with brawn, not brains, but you're in great shape, so it works out. These all seem like, if I'm looking at this up here, these all seem like they're going to give us RPG style attributes based on our answer. We could lean into the tech trend, but I feel like this is a human resources company. I mean, that's what they say, at least. So maybe they want us to understand people. Let's do this one. Any war waged with unmastered weapons is doomed to fail. Sun Tzu said that, you think, or maybe it was a World War I general, or the hero from those kung fu movies you watched as a teen. Point is, swapping gossip doesn't just provide drama, it also reveals what your teammates are actually capable.
Gawona Kimo.
That, I must confess, is an exceptional response.
Tome Baden.
To work at SmearCore is to plunge the very fabric of human psychology and unravel every thread of it on a daily basis. Understanding who people are, their wants, needs, aspirations is integral to helping them become the people that they should be, and no one can achieve such understanding by working alone. Therefore, extending that same level of consideration to one's colleagues is an extremely wise initiative to augment our efficiency. Impressive stuff for a new recruit. You know, we should totally tell people how they should be. Let's brainwash them. The man gestures with theatrical flourishes as he makes the declaration, but his conviction sounds too genuine to come off as arrogant. Conceal a satisfied grin, picturing how spectacular the man's water cooler small talk must be.
Udobijaji.
Social aptitude +2. Hell yeah, brother. Now then, onward to our final inquiry. Regarding your schooling, I would like for you to, well, you could just explain the, goodness, how do I phrase this delicately? Behemoth's words trail into muttered mumbles, his velvet thunder voice degrading into something more akin to a bumblebee struck in a big dog's mouth. Blue eyes dart between you and the paper's underwhelming bullet points with increasingly disgusted concern, as though finally noticing what kind of unemployable aberration has stepped into this building. An unfortunately common reaction for anyone who reads your CV. The singers on the record player shout a loud suggestion to just call the whole thing off. Their advice, for better or worse, goes utterly unheeded.
Kimao Hone.
Well, at the risk of sounding insensitive, I'd truly appreciate some insight regarding your academic background. How do you believe a workplace of our nature could benefit from hiring someone with such a dubiously incompatible education? Been sweating bullets, big bullets, the kind of caliber robot cops must use in action movies from the 80s. I mean, they make big holes, my friend. Of course it was going to come down to this. No matter how dearly you wish it were possible, you can't magically go back in time and study something with greater potential in today's job market. But you might be able to describe your weird diploma in a way that makes a strikingly employable impression. You studied computer science, I did. You're skilled with technologies old and new and dabble in programming. You studied Ultimate Frisbee, the apex field for education for any teamwork-driven athletics superstar. Studied child psychology. You're good at reading people and creating your emotional rapport. I mean, that seems the best, to be honest. But I did study computer science, to be honest. And has it kept me employable? Not with all these layoffs, dude. Your fondness for analog tech drove you to learn the design principles of computers and the algorithms they operate by, giving you the ability to operate devices almost by instinct. Even though SmearCore's machinery is antique by most standards, you'll likely learn to use it much faster than most candidates. Trying to capitalize on the company's obsession for the obsolete, you discuss a few obscure principles from your past seminars, explaining how binary code dates back to the 1600s, or how digital computers were first designed in the 19th century, long before the advent of microchips. Mr. Burgard practically salivates as he listens to you speak.
Udobijaji.
You have no idea how refreshing it is to meet someone in this day and age with such thorough appreciation for the inventions that pave the way for modern progress.
Notisamini.
Too often do our competitors only look towards the new, the cutting edge, the improvable. But our company has survived decades by sticking to what works, advancing the applications of technologies rather than their designs. An individual such as yourself, who grasp the value of such a philosophy, will no doubt fit right in. Furthermore, it sounds like this innate fascination of yours belies a great love for learning about computerized devices. I would even expect you to be teaching our new recruits in a few months' time. That's a pretty ambitious endorsement. Promising, though. Way more promising than you're used to.
Udomijaji.
Computer science specialization. Hell yeah, brother. Technological literacy +2. Anywho, I believe that concludes our questionnaire for today. As for your results, man's enormous fingers crumple your CV into a ball and toss it aside. Bounces across the wire-laden floor, disappearing into an inky corner of the abyssal room. Your chest tightens, panic swells. Catastrophic scenarios and thoughts of crushing failure explode throughout your head. Obuya's beaming smile diffuses them all.
Notice Amini.
To tell the truth, this little meeting of ours was nothing more than a corporate-mandated formality. Between your aunt's glowing recommendation and the fact you showed up to our offices on such short notice, I knew from the very start I'd be wanting you on board. After this discussion, I'm pleased to announce that my hunch has been confirmed, and I am most pleased to be extending you a permanent employment offer. Yay! We get to, freaking work at this scary place. He's clearly mocking you. Pinch yourself and awaken from this embarrassing dream. Hang on, you actually want to hire me? I don't think I should say that out loud, so let's pinch ourselves. Pinch hurts, but nothing more. Mr. Burgard clears his throat, and the baritone of his next words is like a serenade from reality, finally acknowledging you as an honored guest.
Notice Amini.
No need to look so bewildered. It can't be the first time someone's been impressed by your skills. Dude, I live in pizza box nightmare mode. Of crusty, dirty underwear everywhere, like landmines, apparently. So yeah, I'm this is the first time.
Ajobonica.
Our exchange has revealed that you are an incredibly resourceful and technologically savvy individual, able to employ every tool at your disposal to its utmost potential. Whether you are faced with technical issues, a need for urgent repairs, or complex procedures involving Smirnocord devices, I have no doubt you'll be quick to adapt, thriving where others would flounder. There's a risk your focus on the cutting edge may cause you to lose sight of the human element in certain situations, but your addition to our ranks as a technician would be an unquestionable benefit. So, reading this, it sounds like my choices actually mattered a lot, and I would probably be going elsewhere if I had chosen differently.
Gabona Kimo.
So, would you deem my interpretation of your aptitudes accurate, or have I misconstrued the content of your character? 100% on point. That's exactly the kind of person I am. Flattered by Obuya's appraisal, relish in the satisfaction of having been truly seen. Not every day you get such a precise, quantifiable breakdown of your own unique abilities. May they serve you well in tackling the horrors to come. Yay.
Kudomijaji.
Good to know. Very good indeed. In that case, I'll nudge administration to start producing your contract and non-disclosure agreement. I'll unfortunately have to remain cagey about some workplace details, like your tasks or starting salary, until all the legal hoopla has been sorted. But assuming you care to accept a generous starting offer, yeah, don't ever accept an offer that you don't know the details of, dude. Mr. Burgard's chuckling deepens as he extends a massive hand. Blue eyes are bright with joy. His tongue turns over his pure white teeth like a carnivore licking its chops.
Ajobonica.
Please allow me to informally welcome you as the newest member of Smirnocord. I look forward to reviewing your performance. Holy shit, it's actually happening. You're gonna have a job. You're gonna have money. Enough of it to pay rent, keep a roof over your head, eat food, anything. Fight the urge to cry and shake Mr. Burgard's hand. Let a tear flow. Tell him just how grateful you really are? No. Cannot help but sniffle as you extend your hand, eyesight blurred by tears of sheer relief. Yet even through that weeping haze, you can still see the behemoth's grin, spreading like a bird's unfurling wings. More specifically, those of a rapacious buzzard, diving in to snatch a rodent with razor-sharp talons. Yeah, this is sounding good. Instincts urge you to pull away, but the behemoth's pounce comes too quickly. Before you can possibly react, your entire hand is engulfed within the fist size of a ripe cantaloupe. Almost instantly, something begins feeling terribly, terribly wrong. Despite Mr. Burgard's pure white smile, it feels as though your new boss is trying to leave you crippled from the wrist down. Knuckles crunch, folding in on each other. Metacarpals squeak and whine. Articular cartilage between them both crumble into collagen sand. But all that pain is nothing next to the sharp stabbing agony suddenly shooting through your palm. Oh my god. You've broken my palm? You cry out in pain, beg Burgard to let go, fight to pry your fingers free, but the Tweed Giant's grip is iron, unflinching, deaf to your complaints. If anything, he squeezes harder. You're breaking my hand. The needle point pain inside your hand sinks in even deeper. Deep enough for you to think it might pierce the whole way through. Deep enough for you to wonder if it could somehow kill you. Your jaw unhinges to let out a scream. Before a single sound comes through, Mr. Burgard lets you go free with an innocent sounding oops.
Gabona Kimo.
Dearie me, I was a tad too firm there, wasn't I? Beg pardon, friend. I tend to forget my own strength sometimes. Giant chuckles as if nothing happened. You force yourself to chuckle back, but the laughter takes tremendous effort. Hard to buy his excuses, no matter how believable it may be. Panic, you palpate your palm and numb fingers, searching for any scars left by the thing that was drilling through your flesh. There is no wound, no torn skin, no deep cuts, not even mild bruising. You don't even feel the pain anymore. All you find is a single bead of bright red blood, no bigger than a pinhead. Oh no, dude. You wipe it away, frantic, desperate to see what lurks beneath. It is warm to the touch and leaves a scarlet smear across your skin like a painter's brush. You just got microchipped, I think? Yet there's no sign of where the paint has come from. No wound, no scar. There could be some faint swelling, but it's faint enough to make you suspect the bulge isn't really there. Maybe, just maybe, it was all in your head. I don't think so, dude. No wound, is this someone else's blood? Investigate that swelling no matter how paranoid it may be. Press down hard with the tip of your thumb, searching for a lump or stiffness. Before you're sure you've spotted something, a clatter interrupts you. One of his desk drawers, Mr. Beauregard withdraws a slab of metal the size of a stovetop. First, you assume it's a tablet device, custom built to fit the Tweed Giant's fingers and resist their vice-like strength, or perhaps a turntable meant for an aspiring DJ painted in drab colors. Closer look reveals something older and chunkier, made of gray aluminum and solid beige plastics. Blinking buttons, flickable switches, knobs, and sliders of all kinds decorate its crowded surfaces with a cluttered interface too complex to grasp at a glance. Recognize the machine from your studies in computer science. It's a video mixer, often used by TV stations to control input signals during their live studio broadcasts. Obuya's model in particular seems to be a refurbished antique from the 1970s, only compatible with televisions no longer produced today. Mr. Burgard bends over to grab heaping handfuls of wires off the messy floor, seemingly at random, sorts through dozens of them at a time, plugging only a paltry few into his device's outlets. Yeah, let's monitor the employees, dude.
Tome baden.
Now that our pleasantries are finally done with, I suggest we proceed to the evaluation portion of our exchange. Evaluation? What evaluation? No one told you there'd be a test, let alone one that comes after being hired. What if they find out you're actually inept? What if you came all this way and got so far to screw up everything right at the end? Oh, I can't say that word that many times in a YouTube video, my friend.
Notice amini.
Come on, no need to get so agitated. I've already agreed to hire you. Not like I'll be terminating your employment before you even attend a peer review.
Gawona kimo.
The format of this evaluation will be similar to our open-ended interview questionnaire. Difference is that this time I'll be presenting intentionally confusing scenarios that most Smyrna Corps employees might encounter during their day-to-day tasks. Your goal is to present solutions to each particular problem as you deem appropriate, regardless of how unconventional the suggestion may seem. Yet again, there are no wrong answers, but I will tally your responses to determine how much supervision you'll require during onboarding.
Kudomijaji.
In other words, I once more encourage honesty over making a good impression for both our sakes. Hemoth flicks flicks a larger switch on his instrument's dashboard. A low droning palpable hum fills the shadowy room. The lone light bulb hanging above you flickers, then goes dark, bathing the already dim room in nigh absolute blackness. Only the device's glowing buttons reflected in the two-way mirror provide you with any light.
Notice amini.
Shall we get started? Let's call the whole thing off, the record player begs you over and over again. Seems to be stuck in place and skipping a few beats. Yeah, that's not ominous. Unfortunately, your body is also stuck in place, petrified in your plush chair, and your heart is skipping a few beats more. Give your sore hand a tight squeeze and hope the throbbing will stop soon. Brace yourself and agree to begin, or ask him for more information, no matter how limited. Let's ask for more information. Mr. Burgard denies that request with a firm shake of his head. Ignorance is key, he explains. The more prepared you are, the more inaccurate the results, and I am a man who greatly values precision. Your new boss's bratwurst stick fingers push one of the machine sliders to its absolute limit. The room's bassy hum increases in pitch and frequency.
Tome baden.
Now then, I'll start you off with an easy one. Let's say, hypothetically, that you're supervising a group of employees from a different company. They hired you to isolate the source of their decreased productivity and remedy the issue, and it does not take long for you to identify the problem. One of their staff members is extremely troublesome. The giant pauses, uttering a tisk of irritation. It seems he wasn't supposed to specify this mystery employee's gender. When he speaks again, he enunciates slowly with more careful consideration.
Onekaye.
This hypothetical individual has an undeniably inadequate productivity level. They never meet bare minimum expectations, they lack punctuality, disrespect their colleagues, browse unsavory websites with company property, instead of dedicating their limited work hours to completing overdue urgent paperwork. Their misconduct is continuous and condemnable. This is about the guy we're replacing, right?
Kudomijaji.
The employee has been given multiple warnings and provided with opportunities to improve their performance. Both have either failed or been ignored. Client is contemplating firing the problem staffer, but are concerned that becoming understaffed during an especially critical moment of the fiscal quarter could jeopardize their important deadlines. What do you think should be done to reestablish the client's baseline productivity? Oh my god. Neat that we can see that we would have gotten this with child psychology specialization. Took you so long to find a job, firing someone to make you sick. Give them one more chance. Person should be laid off regardless of deadlines. They harm more than help. Install software on the computer that limits access to non-work websites. I mean, I don't want to fire the person. So, I mean, this one's out. It sounds like the guy's been given a ton of warnings, though. I guess we could make it so they don't look at porn. Try that, I suppose. The employee is just compulsively texting and improperly web surfing. Why not cut the problem off at the source? I hate this idea, by the way. I hate it. Don't monitor me at work. Most office networks limit access to undesirable content nowadays, so it can't be that hard to set up. Plus, it'll prevent future staffers from indulging in the same habit. Though your internet-based solution might be complicated to implement in a workspace that relies on refurbished typewriters, Booya's blue eyes still bulge with admiration, his lips curling into epiphanic. Ooh.
Ajobonica.
This is exactly what I keep telling upper management. We need fresh thinkers. This is why. Okay, I keep telling upper management we need fresh thinkers in the office. Perspectives you bring to the table aren't limited to our old hat ideologies and are much more in tune with our planet's current digital landscape. That's why the upcoming deal with Radium Inc. won't just improve our technical infrastructure, it'll improve our technical literacy and technical imagination.
Noticeamini.
Furthermore, I love that the core of your strategy essentially relies on imposing discipline through ignorance and obfuscation, which are techniques that Smyrna Core values dearly. After all, how can slaves ever think to disobey if they were only allowed to learn obedience? Sir, what the hell are you saying? You're not sure you like that comparison. I really don't. Yet as if emphasizing his point, the giant fiddles with his antique device's myriad buttons and knobs in a series of complex operations. Obuya completes his complex mechanical operation with a flourish of flashing lights and a sequence of high-pitched beeping. The machine's noises are loud, but not startling. Not compared to the other sound. Oh boy. Faint at first, muffled, maybe distant, subtle enough to make you wonder if it's part of the record player's tune. The longer you listen, the more unmistakable it becomes. Yeah, okay, sure. Someone somewhere is screaming. Your nails dig into the armrests of your overlarge leather seat. Your eyes dart about the room, searching for the noise's source, before landing on the two-way mirror and your own aghast reflection, coming from across the glass. You hold your breath and wait for the scream to rise up again. There is only the record player's music. Music and the white noise buzz of Burgard's machine as he ahems you back to attention.
Ajobonica.
If you're in need of a restroom, I can point you in the right direction. Otherwise, I'd ask you to please complete the evaluation with a smidge less fidgeting. It negatively impacts our tool's acoustics, you see. It's like you didn't even hear it. Was the scream inside your head? Just like the pain in your hand from before? Or maybe... No, that wasn't in your head, my friend. Touch your bloodstained palm and pretend nothing happened? Let's not ask about the shouting, dude. You crazy? You hold your tongue, unwilling to disrupt the tool's acoustics any further. Besides, strange things have been happening ever since you set foot in this building, and everyone's been acting like it's completely normal. There's probably nothing wrong, right? No, there's something very wrong. Obuya flips another switch. The room's buzzing shifts into a frequency so oddly low, you feel it sending ripples through your organs. Giant gestures your way with steepled fingers, further disturbing your unsettled guts.
Ajobonica.
Now, let's say, still hypothetically speaking, that our problem employee has a more specific shortcoming. He is utterly unwilling to cooperate with one of his coworkers. Perhaps it's a matter of long-standing interpersonal friction originating from external sources. Maybe there's an irreconcilable difference between them in terms of moral, political, or religious beliefs.
Kudobijaji.
Regardless of the exact circumstances, our floundering staffer has proven themselves incapable of playing nice with their high-performing teammate. This has resulted in a severe decline in both their productivity levels. Knowing we cannot relocate the problem employee to a new department, nor displace their high-performing partner, how do we ensure the former collaborates with the latter, despite the deeply rooted discord between them? Oh my god, what are you making me do? Because someone performs well doesn't make them innocent, maybe the bad employee is being sabotaged. Success should be rewarded and failure punished. Fire the problem employee. Principles are learned, not inherent. Teach them new values better suited to a workplace. Oh my god, we're gonna brainwash them. Okay, Sure, let's go with brainwashing. Why not? Oh my god, what are we doing here? Your mind drifts to extreme rehabilitation scenarios. Far right neo Nazis mellowed out through exposure to inclusive media. Violent teens overcoming aggression through extensive therapy. They're not quick or cheap solutions, but they do prove people can overwrite old behaviors with new compassionate values. Your new boss's bright white smile twinkles with tremendous satisfaction. Tweaks his device knob with giddy abandon.
Kudo bijaji.
You're absolutely right. Too often do we believe people act in certain ways by default, as though personality or upbringing were immutable entities. But psychologically speaking, not only can anyone become anything, they can be made to become anything through tactical exposure to new perspectives. Individuals are the sum total of the environments and ideas they have been exposed to. Thus, adding or subtracting experience from that human equation alters the result.
Ajobonica.
Unfortunately, there are times when the only solution is to erase every belief a person holds dear and start over from nothing. But that's just part of the job description. We wouldn't be offering such competitive salaries if designing boutique psychological profiles were easy. Jeez Louise, man. Before you can ask the interviewer what the hell he means, another sound reaches your ears. It's not a person's scream this time, but neither is it a final's tune, nor a machine's hum. Rather, it resembles a... Oh my god. Resembles a dull, wet, rhythmic thud. Once, twice, thrice you hear it, a little louder every time. Your eyes dart about the room, looking for the noise's source. You find it staring back at you from across the two-way mirror. You see the handprint of a blood-stained palm slapping against the looking glass, begging to be let out. Your mouth goes dry as it hangs open. Your finger shakes as you start to point. Then, without word of warning, the thudding suddenly stops. All that remains is silence, and a message written in scarlet smears, a cry for help no one can answer. Obuya looks over his shoulder, seeing the red stain. You wait for him to react, gasp, or even scream. All he does is harumph at it, annoyed.
Mauhone.
I really need to put more pressure on that janitor. The soundproofing in here has been unacceptable as of late. With more grouchy grumbling, he tweaks a couple of his device's knobs as if nothing happened. Then, noticing your aghast face for the very first time, he furrows the expression, not with concern, but confusion.
Gawona kimo.
Is something the matter? Oh boy. This is not the correct thing to do, but we gotta. Your voice cracks as you shout at him, but Obuya appears unperturbed. Bored even. Maybe even disappointed in your lack of calm. Reluctant or perhaps defeated, the man provides a brief, albeit unpleasant explanation.
Samogeto.
As stated previously, contractual obligations prevent me from revealing classified company details. However, I assure you, this is all standard Smyrna Corp procedure. Now please, control yourself until said procedure is completed, or I'll have to contain your outburst myself, by any means I deem appropriate. You don't like the sound of that? Play along for now to avoid Obuya's wrath. Oh my god, dude, why? We're so dead. We're so dead. Terrified of ending up like the person across the glass, you scrunch your lips shut and silently pray this meeting will end with your life intact. You're donezo, dude. You shouldn't have worked for this crazy company. The Tweed Behemoth applauds your wisdom with an ever-widening smile.
Ajobonica.
Ah, wonderful. I'm thrilled you're willing to be so cooperative despite these distractions. Now, regarding the conclusion of our conjectural conundrum,
Home baden.
let's say, and I cannot stress this enough, that our aforementioned staffer is hypothetically assigned to contain a major data breach, one with the consequences that could spell disaster for their company and coworkers alike. The sensitive nature of this task requires them to exterminate or indefinitely debilitate any of the individuals who have witnessed this leaked information so that they become incapable of further dissemination. In this case, the information has only been accessed by two people, the employee's spouse and their prepubescent offspring. What are you going to make me do, man? What is this? What is this? What is this?
Baden.
Needless to say, our employee is reluctant to perform their duty and exterminate these individuals. However, if either family member remains alive, the company stands to lose everything. Furthermore, should they refuse to tie up these proverbial loose ends, you will be required to do so in their place, as outlined in your Spirit Corp contract. In short, how do you ensure these targets perish as intended, and that this data breach remains contained, regardless of this problematic employee's hesitation? Holy crap. Oh my god. I mean, what the hell? What the hell? What? I mean, I have to do this. No one should kill their family to burn company secrets. There has to be a better way. As you squeal out your undignified answer, Mr. Burgard's expression goes from jolly to deadpan faster than you can blink. He fiddles with his instrument settings with a disappointed frown, indifferent to your pleading.
Samogeto.
Normally, I'd applaud any employee willing to consider better ways of doing things around here, but I sense you're less interested in optimizing your duties and more concerned with avoiding them. Frankly, if this is how you react to a hypothetical version of the scenario, I loathe to imagine your reaction when actually confronting this situation in the workplace. You'll need to learn how to perform under pressure here, around here, and fast. Drumming upon a few more buttons and eliciting a few more beeping noises, your manager's expression shifts somewhat as his strange machine's monitor displays your evaluation's final score.
Come baden.
Well, this is a genuinely impressive score. I had high hopes for you, but this exceeds even those anticipations by considerable leaps and bounds. Most of our employees need months, if not years, of training to properly optimize our procedures while foregoing all ethical concerns. For you to demonstrate such dispassionate concern for efficiency above all else, without need for orienteering, that tells me you're destined to accomplish great, terrible things at this company. Why, I barely had to make adjustments to your doppelganger engineering suggestions. What? Doppelganger? Unfazed by your panic or bafflement, Mr. Burgard reaches for a nearby candlestick phone. Mouthpiece realistically macabre roosting bat design makes it seem like he's clutching a live pipistrelle and shoving it against the cavern that is his giant mouth.
Come baden.
We're done here, Miss St. Sains. You can show them now. On the other end of the line, a reply is chirped. Obuya hands you the phone and motions you to listen in. His pure white smile looks wide enough to tear his cheeks at the seams. Except the phone. You gingerly seize the occult antique. It takes you a few tries to figure out how the winged mammal is meant to be held, and even longer to hold the earpiece to your head. By the time you figured it out, you wish that you hadn't. The two-way glass at the back suddenly turns transparent, revealing yet another room with aesthetic contradictions and logical anomalies. Your first urge is to scream, but your voice makes no sound. Perhaps your cries are deafened by whatever the fuck is going on. Oh my god. You stand before what seems to be a hospital operating room. Its walls are adorned with a mix of dark wood panels and mounted stag heads, bathed in the sterile glow of circular fluorescent lamps. At the far back, you see the silhouettes of two surgeons, toiling away behind a curtain, carving apart the skulls of their fully conscious, unsedated patients. Oh my god. You want to look away, but you can't even blink. There's just too much to take in. There's the patients themselves. They almost look like twins. Both have been tied down with belts to their respective surgical tables. Both are men with tan skin, furrowed brows, and bloodshot stares. Both have the tops of their heads partially concealed by curtains, where the surgeon's silhouettes prod their scalps with forceps. Only one of them is screaming, as though death would be a mercy. There's a surgeon's tools. Blood-stained aprons hang from wooden coat racks, while stainless steel surgical trays contain an assortment of gruesome devices. Bone saws, hand-crank drills, and strangely hairy, bone-white bowls glistening with dark red. Oh my god. Stomach gurgles upon realizing they are sliced off tops of human skulls. There's a television hanging from the ceiling. Boxy Technicolor units have been suspended above each patient's head. Their cracking screens blast them with an unrelenting montage of childhood videotape footage, warbled ECG readouts, brain scans, and news network broadcasts. Each man's eyelids are held open by metallic speculums, denying them the privilege of looking away. Oh my god. And there's the woman taking notes. She stands with her back to you, jotting down her observations on a clipboard as she studies each victim's distinct reactions. Though her shoulders are shaking, she writes with a steady hand. Muffled sounds of saws slicing through bone threaten to make you throw up, but instead you feel your heart sink deep into that pit of nausea and realize something truly chilling. You recognize two of the people in that room. Okay? I mean, one of them is Melusine and the other one is the guy that we replaced, right? Look more closely at the patient that's screaming. Yeah. Though his face is warped by fear and pain, there's no mistaking the angry stranger from the waiting room. And from across the now transparent two-way glass, he recognizes you as well. His shrieks turn into sob-choked pleas, his voice a feral shadow of the coarse drawl it once was.
Gocha seco.
You, please, tell them I'll change. Tell them I'll do better. Just don't let them replace me. Melusine, I'm begging you. You can't do this to me. I have a firm.
Oops. His words are cut off by gurgling spasms, eyes rolling back into their sockets as a surgeon silhouette behind him cuts something inside his head. Blood and brain matter spatters the curtain, hiding the worst of the scene. But sounds of squelching meat and bones still carry over the receiver. Yet it's the other, calmer patient's voice that truly makes you nauseous. Yeah, I mean, it's the same guy. They've replaced him. He doesn't just look like Emiliano. He sounds like him. Exactly like him.
Bate vamo.
You, please, tell them I'll change. Tell them I'll do a better job. Just don't let them replace me.
The lookalike's face remains impassive, even as his exposed brain is prodded out with a hand-crank drill. Yet the imitation of his neighbor's blood-curdling cries is perfect. Every nuance, every pause for breath, reenacted down to the finest detail. better than any audio recording you could ever imagine, more immaculate simulacra than any man or machine should ever be capable of. It's so perfect, in fact, that you're no longer certain which of these patients is the real Emiliano.
Zutena foi.
Hey, Melisune. How was that? Am I laying the accent on too thick?
Seems fine to me, but I'd recommend letting your voice crack once in a while. Been known to happen when Mr. Aguilar is heavily inebriated, and considering his drinking disposition, that particular nuance will come up quite frequently.
Gocha seco.
Gotcha, I'll give it another go. Hey pal, can you give me some fresh material to rehearse?
Gocha seco.
You're all a bunch of psychos. Mother effing heartless psychos. Emiliano sobs and howls himself raw, retching as the surgeon hacking his cerebellum induces full body spasms. The other Emiliano merely clears his throat before howling much the same.
Ametemoku.
Oh my god.
Bonematiku.
How about that? Bit better?
Considerably. I'll notify the post-op technicians to implant a few more speech impediment-inducing memories and apply brain damage relative to Mr. Aguilar's alcoholism. That should iron out the last neurophysical kinks. The other Emiliano gives a firm thumbs up, leaning back to enjoy his lobotomy with the lackadaisy indulgence of an expert barber's pre-haircut massage. Melusine turns to face the glass, her wide smile pulled painfully taut. She looks at you with tears and mascara streaking down her face, as though the grinning causes her far more pain than either patient's cerebral surgery. Was there anything else you needed to see, Mr. Burgard? Any specific tests to run?
Ajobonica.
No, thank you, dear. That'll be all. Just wanted our new hire to get a better idea of the daily grind. Oh, but do let me know if we need to make adjustments to mediatic nutrition, will you? I'll be on standby. With a curt nod, the receptionist turns her back. You hear a click, then a dial tone, and the phone's ceaseless screaming abruptly cuts off. Across the glass, Emiliano thrashes with all his might, the sound of his screeching muted once again.
Kimo.
So, what do you think? I mean, I don't have any other option. Man, your boss to tell you what the hell they're doing to these people. Mr. Burgard flinches as you let out an anguished scream, but he doesn't seem startled, let alone afraid of your explosive reaction. You mostly get the impression that he's baffled by the sheer stupidity of your question. He repeats it slowly as though making sure he heard correctly. What we're doing? Why, what we always do here at Smyrna Corp, of course. Replacing problem members of society with custom-trained, lab-raised actors that will live more efficient lives in our target's places. Our company's foolproof, flawless, and highly exclusive human resource solution. And what's more, we've performed today's processes all according to your specifications. Yep, okay. Your specifications? You had nothing to do with this. Unperturbed by your protest, Burgard motions to his facilitated surgeons currently picking at both Emiliano's wet and naked craniums. First, as standard procedure, we have our doppelgangers undergo extensive surgeries. This ensures their size and appearance matches their target. However, we also perform highly precise neural excisions and hormonal dosing sessions to ensure both replacement and replacee have identical synaptic pathways. This means they'll share the same tastes, reflexes, and handicaps wherever applicable. Furthermore, as per your suggestion, I've encouraged our surgeon to physically excise all sections of the brain unrelated to workplace performance. I'm not entirely sure if that's how those so-called firewalls are supposed to work for computers, but either way, our doppelganger should only know obedience and thus never disobey. Wonderful. After completing his bleak announcement with a showman's tone, the giant points to the device on his desk. Its myriad cables run along the floor and worm their way through the slits in the two-way glass connecting to the flashing televisions hanging above the patient's faces. Next, we bombard our subjects with doctored historical information and falsified childhood memory footage to rewrite their lived experiences. This will erase problematic attitudes and induce more desirable proclivities. This also extends to the teaching of new value systems or religious beliefs, which you suggested should be done to treat extreme societal cases. And while Mr. Aguilar had some rather distasteful political views at the core of his character, rest assured, we replaced them with better values, which align nicely with company interests. With an emphatic flourish, Obuya tweaks another one of the machine's many knobs. Television screen flickers, replacing its gruesome slideshow of warfare footage slideshows with pictures of a pastoral farm. Louder Emiliano squirms as though he's been tasered at a lethal dosage. Okay. Finally, the tweed behemoth nods to Melusine, whose eyes glance between both her patients, taking notes whenever one of them imitates the other. Two of them are becoming increasingly impossible to tell apart. Last but not least, Miss Saint Sains arguably has the most important task of all, quality assurance. You see, our procedure is human, not mechanical. Instinct trumps algorithm when it comes to understanding people. Thus, it's imperative for staffers with an eye for social cues to study the effects of non-sedated lobotomies, particularly during back-and-forth exchanges between target and replacement. This allows us to adjust mediatic nutrition quickly and to identify overlooked flaws in body language, voice modulation, or personality. All this ensures our doppelgangers perform the jobs correctly.
Tome baden.
In other words, she will be ensuring that at least one of these Aguilars exterminates their family members correctly. Miss St. Sains is a woman who comes up with solutions, you see, not excuses. Holy shit, he wasn't lying. You may not have pulled the trigger, but you did help them do this, step by fucking step. As you reel from the weight of revelation, Obuya holds up his 3 fingers. One by one, he curls them down like a buzzard's talons wrapping around prey.
Notice amini.
Physical rewiring, psychological reconditioning, social reintegration. These are the pillars upon which Smirnocor's substitution services are built. This is how we guarantee that tens of thousands of doppelgangers currently deployed to the public perform exactly as they must. Our company has controlled the course of human civilization for years upon years, steering it in whatever direction our executives deem right. How the right people have shown up at the right times and the right places. How the wrong items or ideas have never appeared at inopportune occasions. And it's how you will help us do our job, regardless of which department you are ultimately assigned to.
Tome baden.
So, are there any further questions about your new job's responsibilities? I mean... Not the smart idea. Your voice cracks as you let out a scream. All your terror, all your disgust, and every iota of your outrage swirl together into a maelstrom of bellowed emotion. Your threat is met by a fit of snide mocking laughter.
Notice amini.
I'm afraid you misunderstand something, friend. We're not getting away with anything. We have, if anything, already gotten away with it. I mean, just look at where you are. The basement of an enormous office, one of hundreds across the globe, sustaining itself financially since before your grandparents were born. Yet you know nothing of our work until today. No one who came before you had the power to reveal our existence to the world, nor will anyone who comes after be able to do so either. Because we have made the world what it is, and will continue to do so until the end of time. Weed Behemoth spreads his arms wide, taking up a dramatic stance. Muscular limbs cast a vast, all-consuming shadow, much like the one his company must cast over the world.
Tome baden.
Societies, you see, are merely sets of rules, meant to control select populaces, enforced by means of moral codes and legislative threats. Histories are naught but narratives, parading as objective fact, deterministically controlling the future by defining the past. Economies are broad equations engineered to establish hierarchies and restrict freedoms indirectly. Our missive is to alter the evolution of all these entities everywhere in the world for the betterment of our species. This can mean overturning governments with silent revolutions, establishing or destroying businesses to reroute the flow of wealth, even altering history in ways that force us to reinterpret the present.
Notice amini.
All the world's a stage, men and women merely players, but Smirnocorp play right, casting every actor's role. Today, your role has been decided too, and if you care to keep a roof over your head, you should refrain from delivering a disappointing performance. The giant's index finger prods your chest as he speaks. Each tap is like a bullet thudding against a Kevlar vest. Across the mirror, Emiliano screams as though he feels the gunshots too. His cry is an ode to the dark future which awaits you. Future of perpetual, inescapable servitude. Obuya's right, you need money. Agree to work here until you saved enough to quit. Can't torture people no matter how badly you need the cash. Refuse the job. I mean, you don't have a choice at this point. Despite the quaver in your voice, your moral code remains unwavering in the face of such adversity. But your giant would-be manager answers that display of courage with a stifled snicker.
Kimao hone.
Oh, I'm afraid you're well past the point of refusing anything, friend. After all, we've already signed our first contract, and we use something much more permanent than paper or ink. Man's pale eyes drift towards your hand, the one he shook that you thought was bleeding. Look into your palm, you realize the hunch was fully justified, because something did pierce it. There's a lump beneath the skin, a small subtle rectangular protrusion you hadn't noticed until now, probably because it wasn't flashing, let alone making such an obnoxious sound. Beep beep beep.
Notice amini.
This, my friend, is what we refer to as a non-disclosure microchip, a brand new addition to our confidentiality policy specifically designed by our future partners at Radium Inc. It serves as an ID to access our offices, but also as an employee loyalty failsafe. Should you ever admit brain activity associated with treason, unauthorized divulgation of confidential data, or any such nasty business, the chip will emit a warning signal. Should the warning go unheeded, a lethal dose of bohridium-210 will be discharged, an untraceable radiotoxic isotope capable of inducing total organ shutdown within milliseconds. Wonderful.
Tome baden.
In other words, lest you care to experience a particularly messy demise, I suggest you remain on your best behavior until you die of natural causes. Yay! Wonderful. The microchip starts beeping faster till it matches the demented tempo of your beating heart. No telling which of the two is about to explode first. Signal is interrupted by Mr. Burkhardt tisk-tisking as he checks his belt-sized watch.
Kudo Mijaji.
Dearie me, seems I lost track of time. Other appointments beckon. Afraid our meeting is at an end. You best return home and get plenty of rest. You'll need it for your onboarding.
Kudo Mijaji.
Oh, and please make an effort to be punctual, won't you? Your aunt warned me of your troublesome sleep schedule and general apathy, but we don't take kindly to those without backbone around here. Either arrive on time and complete your work on schedule, or produce a replacement who shall do it for you. I know that sounds scary, but just think of it as the perfect opportunity for some long overdue self-improvement. As Obuya chuckles, an elevator door screeches open behind you. The open shaft greets you like the gaping maw of a deep-sea fish. Glance between it and your manager, debating which is worse, wondering if you can really leave. Behemoth smirks at you and winks. Amused by the fear, you make a run for it. Fingers mash every single button on the keyboard's confusing display, hoping some combination of keys will get you as far as possible. Eventually, the grillage gate slams shut, the floor lurches upwards, and Mr. Burgard waves goodbye, speaking the most chilling words you've heard all day.
Ajobonica.
See you tomorrow. Beep, beep, beep. Your microchip's alarm slows to a crawl as all your hopes and dreams die a slow whimpering of death. Congratulations, you're hired. Thanks for playing. The full experience of Inhuman Resources is releasing very soon. Please wishlist us on Steam if you want to see more. You can also keep in touch with us through the Steam forums and leave feedbacks. See you soon, Finnegan Motors. That was a very interesting, interactive, choose your own novel style experience. I liked the RPG elements. I liked that it seemed like our choices mattered, and the writing was very good. There are a few typos here and there, but nothing huge, I would say. And yeah, if you're interested in the game, you should check out the demo, make some different decisions, and let me know what happens, because I'm very curious. I will put a link in the description below so that you can check out the demo yourself and wishlist it if you're interested. And yeah, you should do that if you are, because it helps out devs a lot. If you'd like to help me out a lot, I'd appreciate it very much if you left a comment and or a like. And if you'd like to see more from me, my name is Quantic Flux. I put out a new video every single day in my Check It Out series, which you just watched, where I check out a new, usually unusual or roguelike game, though I do switch it up on occasion, as you can see. That sounds like something you'd like to see more of. I'd be happy to have you subscribed. Apologies for the very long video, but I hope you enjoyed it anyways. And I hope I see you in the next one. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much for your time. I truly do appreciate it. And see you next time. Bye-bye.